Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you're watching this. My name is Jessica Graham. I am the Community Development Manager for the Downtown West Project here in San Jose. I'm joined today by Erin Salazar. She's going to share with us a little bit more about herself and her work with local color. Erin, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, welcome,
Thank you.
and very nice to be able to have this conversation with you. For those
Happy to
of
be
you who
here.
are not Yes, thank you. I'll give just a brief introduction. It's my pleasure in the role that I serve for this project to work with different stakeholders from across the city of San Jose, nonprofit leaders such as Erin, as well as citizens and residents and people from different schools and universities and people who are really participating in the co-creation of this project. And I think, Erin, when I'm looking at your bio, I'm going to give just a few words about who you are, and I'd love to hear from you in your own words. For those of you who've not yet had an opportunity, Erin Salazar is originally from the Mojave Desert in Southern California. She is an artist, a muralist, a seamstress, a curator, a community organizer, and dreamer. As an entrepreneur, she is the founding executive director of the arts nonprofit Local Color. And Local Color's mission is to keep local artists employed, engaged, and active by building multifaceted opportunities that empower creatives in San Jose. Certainly, Erin, I know you have a lot of commendations. You've been recognized by Mayor Ricardo. Councilmember Raul Perales has talked about you being a District 3 champion. You're named one of KQED's Women to Watch in the Bay Area. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what drives you, what fuels you in doing this work.
Sure. I all that, and I started out working in downtown San Jose. I came here for college when I was um, just a wee little one. I was 17 when I moved out here. I didn't know anybody or have any friends or anything like that. I just was leaving the Mojave Desert, and I moved here to San Jose in 2005. So I've been here almost longer than I haven't now. And really, I'm rooted in community, although community at first, when I first moved here, meant a lot of my college friends. And then it turned into creating a community of people working in the service industry, a lot of bartenders, waitresses, all those craft beer friends that I've made working in bartending for several years here. And then it has kind of fused those two things somewhat between being a member of the community and an active member of the community, and my art and my arts practice. So I started out wanting to build economic opportunities for artists at the intersection of art and community development. And for me, that meant working with artists, making sure they were getting paid for the work that they do, and facilitating large scale murals or medium scale murals, or even sometimes small scale murals across the city of San Jose.
Wow. So, can you share? So, now you're leading an organization that does this, but tell us more about what your artwork is rooted in. Have there been women specifically that have influenced your work?
They're all throughout. So kind of from bottom to top, women and being a woman has played a part in how I lead. I consider myself a servant leader. That I'm really honored to be in this position to lend the kindness of womanhood to a leadership position. But in my creative role, I'm also an artist. I graduated from San Jose State with a BFA, emphasis in studio practice. So I trained as a painter. And I thought, maybe I'd travel around the world showcasing my art from coast to coast, and, wear a beret, live in Paris, and just be an artist and have champagne all day long. So in lieu of that working out, most of my artwork is really centered in traditional arts practices around the decorative arts. So for me, a lot of well, not for me, for all of humanity, women's role in the arts has largely been associated with the decorative arts, which has not been considered like a high art form. And so for me, I leverage a lot of traditional art making practices. For me, it's one stroke floral painting. Floral is like, highly feminine, and it speaks to like kind of creating, well, the decorative arts in general kind of speak to uh, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create Gosh, how do I say this again? I'm a little bit nervous.
You can just
Um,
show us. I mean, I'm looking at a piece
okay,
of your artwork behind you, right?
so I,
Tell us about that. It's black. It's on a black
yes,
background. Like,
yes,
what's that all
it's on.
about?
So it's really rooted in a lot of for me it's traditional Mexican floral painting, and so for me
Okay.
I leverage textiles, leverage the textile arts in order to bring awareness to the contributions of women in the decorative arts as largely anonymous, that those works went unsigned, unattributed, and to me I feel that those pieces really speak to creating a sense of cultural identity
Mhm.
throughout, through textiles, through pottery, through painting, through how we decorate, all of the above things. And for me, it's important to highlight the anonymous contributions of women artists throughout all civilizations. But for me, my emphasis is really in Mexican art.
That's awesome. I love what you're saying about people who did not get credit for their work, and now your work is directly tied to elevating that and amplifying that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So whenever I get a
Um,
chance, that's what I'm doing. I'm painting. I'm like surrounded by no less than like 15 pieces that are like unfinished, kind of like here, under here.
mhm, mhm. Absolutely. Do you travel? Have you traveled to Mexico before, or do you have connections there or anything like that?
I have family there, but
Yeah.
I have not ever been.
Okay.
I've been to Acapulco, but that was just like on a vacation. That was like on a trip. That wasn't like to explore my roots or anything like that. But my father was actually born into a Mexican and Native American family. He was adopted into that family.
Mhm, mhm,
He was born in LA County Jail and then adopted into this family by his biological father. And so I grew up really pretty ingrained in a lot of Native traditions as well. Although it's not in my blood, it's in my heart.
mm. That's beautiful in your heart. So tell us about the Heart of Local Color, right? You're now building a new organization. Why did you decide to name the organization Local Color? Like, what does that even mean, other than what I think it means, which is color?
Very, very close to that. So, local color has two different meanings, and the reason it's so special to me is because it is an art term. So the first term is it means the customs, manner of speech, dress, or other typical features of a place or period that contribute to its particular character. Uh, that's the first definition. The second definition is much more artistic and creative related. So it's the natural color of a thing in ordinary daylight without being influenced by the proximity of other colors. So sometimes like a green next to a blue will sometimes look more gray. It's the kind of like an Albers theory of color. And so when we talk about local color, we're talking about both like the customs and manner of speech and the idiosyncrasies that make a city special or a region special, but it also can magnify down to the individual unit, which is really important for me because it talks about the natural color of a thing, a single thing in ordinary daylight, uninfluenced by the proximity of other colors. So I think that that's just a really special definition that ties very, very beautifully to what we do here at Local Color.
All right. And I know there's a couple different things that you do. So maybe you can walk our listeners through if they haven't gone to
Sure.
your website, tell us what your website is. If people want to learn more, what exactly are your initiatives?
Yeah. So we started out doing murals. So mural is at the heart really of what we do, and that's how we founded the organization, just trying to make sure that artists get paid for the work that they do.
Mhm,
Especially because murals are visual landmarks across the city. So you could say, oh, go left at the Vida Abundante mural in downtown San Jose. It's
mhm,
a big purple one. So they act as visual landmarks, and it helps really create a visual identity across the city. And so that work can't go um, un unaccounted for from an economic standpoint. So that's really kind of at the heart of where the organization started, is us raising money, raising funds, writing grants to make sure that artists get paid for their work.
mm,
Eventually, that started to grow as I started to pick up a couple of fellowships that were asking me, reach deeper, think deeper, like what else is artists, what else is art. So I was in a course where it told one of the lessons, the big lessons of it was in asset mapping. So they asked you to go around your city, and there was like basically use this lens of defining your community through its assets, not its deficits. So I worked at Good Karma as a bartender for a long time, and the Ross went out of business there. And I was like, oh man, like this is such a bummer. Like I really wish we could do something with it. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is what they're talking about, because this could so easily be labeled a deficit to the community. But what can we do with it? If you got the energy to complain about something, I think you also could have just reassign that energy to making your community a little bit better. So by defining our community through assets and not its deficits, I thought that we could reopen this Ross, this 24,000 square foot space, as like a community center with an arts focus. So we had 13 different studios. We were host to, like, I want to say over 100 artists in the studios, kind of in the 2-year period. It started as a pop-up, but that was really just a Trojan horse for getting to, learn and really prototype what it meant to operate a facility. So it was a really fun experience, and it was another way that we could support artists. And then it became less about just creating economic opportunity and more about just creating opportunity. So for us, that meant providing workspace where artists could be able to work large, be able to kind of have full control over a creative space that felt more or less like a professional space, and not like your kitchen or your living room where you have to like clean up because you got to eat dinner or something. So having a dedicated space for your practice and your craft was really important. And then the third real leg of what we do is around fiscal sponsorship, which is a new one. And it sounds like the driest one, but it's not. It's kind of one of the most exciting ones that we have, where we are able to leverage. We've been going through this training for like the last year and a half about how to do fiscal sponsorship responsibly. And basically what it's about creating a common network of resource and support for the many aspects of project planning. So in short, what we do is we are leveraging our 501c3 nonprofit status. We've already gone through the paperwork. We've got a board. We've got all these like structures set up. And if a foundation wants to put out a grant, and they say anybody can apply, but you need to use a fiscal sponsor. That means that they need the money to still go through a nonprofit, a 501c3, but we can re-grant. That's what the term is. We can re-grant those funds to support other projects in the community. So we just launched that project, and it's very exciting. We just got our first fiscal sponsorship, and we are very excited. So we are endeavoring the new portion of what it is that we're doing, which is to support individual projects in our community that are revolving around justice or social change or art or creativity or storytelling or journalism, or, kind of, we are in this way, we're able to open up all of what Local Color kind of does. So we have the murals, we have our studio spaces that we're working to reactivate buildings that are slated for demolition as creative spaces for artists. So that's how we're able to create affordable spaces, because these buildings are going to get torn down anyways. We may as well let us use them, let us operate them. We've got years of experience doing it so far. And then the fiscal sponsorship. So short story long, those are the 3 programs we run.
Those are exciting programs, and I have a serious question and also a small comment. First of all, a small comment. I love your necklace.
Thank you. It's piano keys, I think.
No way.
Yeah, I got it at a yard sale. How cool is that?
That is cool. Of course, you also sound like a really busy person with all the different things you just mentioned. It must be really rewarding in some ways, but also really perhaps difficult. And I was curious, I know the last year around COVID has been really tough on the artist community. And I would love to hear a few words or any thoughts that you might have around how Local Color has been helping and supporting, and also just what you've been witnessing and experiencing from as an artist and as a person who supports artists during this unprecedented year.
Yeah, it's been, we had jumped into 2020 with one of the biggest grants that we have ever had. And it was 3 years of support from the Knight Foundation for general operating support. And that's not something that small nonprofits come across every day. So for us, 2020 was going to be like the big year. We were really going to hit the ground running. And thankfully we did not make like a whole bunch of hires. We did not do like a whole bunch of expansion. And, I really kicked myself at the time thinking, man, we're not delivering on our promises and we're not doing this and that. But really it was kind of a lifesaver that we had a low enough footprint from a capacity standpoint to be able to shrink inwards and to kind of pivot in the way that we needed to. So to support our community, we cut our membership fees for our studios by 75% to 100%. So if people just couldn't pay their studio rent, we weren't gonna, make them leave their studios. Like we need in that way, it is very much a collective where we're trying to support artists, but they're also members. This is a member driven organization. So it's really important that they can remain members, kind of even after COVID. So between, doing a big fat reduction on the studio spaces, and also during the Black Lives Matters protests, we had just such a wonderful opportunity to work with our artists where we feel art is really the voice of the community. So we worked with the Downtown Association and something like 15 different property and business owners to negotiating with them to let us, have control over these boards that went up all throughout, cities across America got all boarded up, and all of those panels, they were an opportunity for our community to say what needed to be said to find some semblance of the first steps of peace, to have space for emotional reckoning. And it was tough for everybody, right? And the added layer of the pandemic, and it was hot, and then there were the fires, and then it was like one on top of another. So really our goal is just to set some opportunities for empowering other creatives to give them a voice. What I think, or it doesn't really matter as much as like my ability to create a platform so that way other artists can use their voice in ways that feel meaningful and impactful, because a lot of people are a lot more centered on in politics and policy through their art, using their art to say something that is important to them. And that doesn't mean that people like me need to like pivot their artwork, but people like me, I think, have a responsibility to support those who have something to say with their art.
Yeah, and I so appreciate that, Erin. Even just hearing you talk, I was envisioning murals that I've seen myself as, I live here in San Jose too, and just walking around and seeing some of those artwork pop up, and me like, taking my phone and like making sure to find them on Instagram and follow their work and learn more about what motivates them. Because you're right, there is a restorative quality to art and expression. And it's almost like a conversation between the artist and the public. And I guess muraling is unique in that way, that it's so accessible and it's so visible to all of us. So I just really like that that's the special sauce that local color brings to the table, and that everyone's able to benefit from it.
That's what we really like try to highlight and underline, is that to me, without being overly hierarchical, I still think that public art is the highest form of art because it's accessible. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay an entry. You don't have to walk through a door. It's for all of the people in a community to experience and to participate in and to critique and to appreciate and to find their own way or their own taste. Even if you don't like something, at least you know what you don't like, right? And that's like a good jumping off point. So for us to be able to provide these kinds of platforms and opportunities, it pushed specifically the Rise SJ project that we did with the Downtown Association. It pushed us as an organization and our partners so much further outside of our comfort zone. And as a result, the partnership is stronger. We're a stronger organization, and we are more grounded in what equity means to us, right? So because we knew that these were temporary, we could take bolder messages that we would never be able to get approved otherwise, but it was an opportunity for us to leverage the what is the word, evanescence, the temporary nature
Zeitgeist.
of the
Yeah.
project. Yes, the magic of the moment. We were able to support other people and their messaging and what they wanted to say. So that was as many like you were saying, as many the heartbreaks and the love, like really they do balance out, you know, because it was tough. All the artists were like really upset. There was a lot of tears, um, but we're a stronger community because of it, I think.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think it would be unreasonable for anyone to not have been upset, given what we all witnessed and experienced together as a community. That emotion needs somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful that you have a group of artists that you're able to amplify and uplift and show the diversity of those emotions and those reactions. I'm just curious, how do you see which artists are coming to you? Do you ever do like special outreach initiatives? Are you like looking, San Jose is very diverse. We have a lot of different viewpoints. It's global. We have people from all over the world. We have people who've been here for 10 generations. I have a friend who says, we didn't cross the border crossed us, right? Like being
Wow.
rooted in San Jose for hundreds of years and knowing what that means and the ability to embrace the roots of your culture. So how do you all think about that as an organization and really welcoming that diversity of spirit to the table? And do you see any trends? Are some people more or less likely to engage in artistry and artwork? And are there barriers to entry that you're trying to solve?
There are. And so there are thousands, literally thousands of ways that we could improve our outreach. We could translate our request for qualifications into the 5 different languages. We could do so many things so much better, and these are all becoming part of our like longer term, and not too long, right? Like we definitely want to do these sooner than later, because we are working on centering equity, and for us that means being able to reach diverse communities that we have not normally had an opportunity to engage with. So for us, we are really trying hard to build bridges and pathways to entry into public art. So if somebody is interested in doing a mural, right, and they've never done a mural before, and maybe their artwork is not to the point where they're ready for a full, 3-story high boom lift harness, waiver signatures on liability
Yes.
and all this stuff. Like if you're not there, it doesn't have to be a black and white situation. We have any number of opportunities that we're trying to leverage as pathways to participation. So we try to make all of our forms and applications just like extremely simple to use. And and we also work on, even if you're an artist, but you're a wonderful painter and your direction is great, but you're not able to articulate that. Like some artists aren't able to verbalize or write down their thoughts are connected to their eyes more than it is to their mouth or their hand, right? So we're just we're trying to weigh more heavily the quality of the portfolio, and if the portfolio is not to a quality, but like the direction is there, or there's something really in there, we're working to create opportunities to practice more, right? So if that means you get a small mural on a temporary wall, and we know that they go up, they come down, they go up, they come down. So we're just trying to be resourceful, like artists are, with the things that we have access, with the resources that we have available, essentially.
Wow, that's great. Well, speaking of resources, if someone wanted to be supporting local color and your mission of amplifying local artists, where should they go to find more information?
Um, so if anybody is interested in supporting our organization, we are celebrating our 6th-year anniversary coming up here. This is being filmed in April of 2021. So we are now 6 years old. I can't believe that we are six
Happy
years old.
birthday.
It's our thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. We are 6 years old, and that is on the other side closest to 10 years, and that seems so weird to me. But if you want to support our organization, you can visit our website, which is www.localcolorsj.org, and there are all sorts of things will pop up for opportunities to donate. But we also know that their resource comes in many different in many different forms. So if anybody is also interested in leveraging their expertise or guidance, like we're always open to that. If people want to donate for a specific mural, if people want to donate for a specific program, like our studio spaces programs, we're working on launching a couple of youth art engagement opportunities. So we have any number of programs that we can kind of open the hose of funding to, should a lot of funding kind of come through for that kind of stuff. So if anybody is interested, you can always donate to our organization through our website. And that's the best way to find us there.
Awesome. I have two final questions.
Okay.
One is one you're probably expecting. What's the significance of Black for you in your art? As I notice, it is present in many of the work that I've seen that you do.
It's present in all of it. I'm just sitting around like 100 Black sketchbooks, and I think it's so elegant. I think it's just such a pristine, clean, wonderful color. You know, like when you have like a Black, I don't know. I think it just exposes your flaws or like your history. And I don't mean flaws. I guess I just mean like, if you have a Black car and it gets dusty, you can tell, right? It's the same with like artwork. If you scuff something, it is simultaneously, it is simultaneously elegant and fragile. And to me, it speaks to like the old paintings that were the old floral still life paintings, which were some of the only paintings that women were allowed to do, because like they can't see the figure, you know, like God forbid they see the naked figure or something. So women were only allowed to paint flowers. And to me, the Black in it just makes everything like pop and saturate. And I just think it's just such a beautiful, it's just pure, and it's just luxurious. And it's just, to me, it screams of like elegance and royalty. And I think that there's also a sense of duality in life and death too. I think that Black has always kind of had a little bit of sinisterness to it. And I think I'm not immune to that. I also have a little bit of, you know, like I like the punk rock, like art and death and metal and shininess and beauty and skulls and everything like that. So I think that there is a lot of that here. Actually, as I sit right here, I have a skull, which is painted, and it's painted with a thing called thermotropic crystals, which is it's a living kind of organism that reacts to heat. So thermotropic means that it changes due to heat. So if you go, it'll like change from green to blue depending on the heat in the room. So it acts as like a thermometer too. So I try to incorporate a little bit of magic into all of the work that I do. So let's see if I can make it go. All right, this should change color. Ready? Oh, it's kind of green. It's kind of green.
I see it. Yeah.
But it'll go anywhere from like green to blue to yellow, and it's all kind of painted throughout here. So I try to incorporate like a little bit of sense of magic in all of the work that I do, and Black is an important component in that because it's so mysterious, and I love that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing with us. This is an ongoing conversation. Do you have any questions for me?
Jessica, what is your favorite color?
You know, it changes. So
so you're like thermotropic crystals. It just changes depending on the temperatures.
My favorite color is thermotropic. Right now, it's like a marigold yellow, like a rich saturated marigold that I'm into. Yes, like that, exactly.
Nice, this color. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Erin. I look forward to continuing the conversation and supporting your work, and really appreciate you taking the time. For our listeners, please hit up Erin and her team at Local Color on their website or their IG, and we look forward to supporting you in the future.
Cool, thank you. I look forward to it as well. See y'all soon.
Bye-bye.